Good evening. The hour having arrived and a quorum being present, I declare this January 22nd, 2019 meeting of the Norwood Board of Selectmen officially in session. We will begin tonight's meeting, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer or reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being telecast and recorded by Norwood Community Media. We have 4 appointments tonight at 7 o'clock. Travis Farley to discuss this month's activities at the Recreation Department. At 7:10, Mr. Charles Donahue and Thomas Dunlay, the presentation of a painting for the scholarship fundraiser. At 7:15, Mr. Paul Lisi is here to discuss with Bernie Cooper the Winter Concert Committee and the Winter Concert Series schedule. And then we have a public hearing for Arena NL Inc., DBA Launch Trampoline Park, 570 Boston Providence Turnpike at 7:30. Just a note, at the end of tonight's meeting, we intend to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation on appeal from denial of relief before the ZBA filed by UAVE against the town. All right, very good. Let's see, Mr. Farley, why don't you come on up, and we have your report. Make yourself comfortable. We have your report, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what's been going on down at the Civic Center.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, member of the board, for giving me this time to brief you on what's happening at the Civic this month and what we have upcoming. So I'll delve right in. We just wrapped up a very successful holiday programming binge. We had 12 programs altogether with about 120 participants. Programs ranged from cookie decorating to gingerbread house decorating. We also had a very successful breakfast with Santa in the gym. The OCC was actually able to provide us the food. Mr. and Mrs. Claus were able to visit us, and we had about 125 participants for that in the gym. So it was a very successful event. It's the second year we've done it, and we're very happy with it. We also had a Parents' Night Out in December. We had it Friday, December 8th, with about 55 participants. We actually just wrapped up another one on January 18th with about 40 participants. And we'll be having another one on March 8th, Friday, March 8th, from 6 p.m. to 8:30. It's for grades 1 through 5. Participants get pizza, juice, and $10 per child. So it's a night out for the parents if they're looking to get out for a few hours, and we'll do all the work there at the Civic. January programs, we after the new year we start a new batch of programming at the Civic Center. We had about 30 programs start right after the new year with about 345 different participants in the programs. We had our traditional dance programs, Move and Groove, preschool prep, gymnastics, youth wrestling, STEM, little scientists, intro to theater. So we had a wide variety of programs start after the new year with very successful results that we're very happy about. Upcoming programs, we have our very famous daddy-daughter dance, which we're now calling Ties and Tiaras. It'll be Friday, February 8th from 6:30 to 8:30. It's about $15 a couple. We'll have a DJ. There'll be dancing, refreshments. We'll have a photo booth for participants and a small goodie bag when they leave as well. So we're very excited about that event. That is definitely a big one for us. So please mark that on your calendar. It is Friday, February 8th. We're also working on February vacation programming. So those residents that are sticking around for February vacation, looking for something to do, we have a lot going on at the Civic. Katie's working very hard to start a February Vacation Extreme Week, which is for our play camp grades 2 through 5, I believe. They do 2 field trips. I think they're trying to go into Neshoba and another field trip as well. So we're very much looking forward to that. We have a Mustang sports camp. We have global art. We have kids baking. We have a princess tea party. We have our famous Toe Jam puppet band, which is a kids band that comes in on Friday, which is going to be a free Friday event for the residents as well. And we're also doing for the first time a superhero dinner. We're still locking in the superheroes, but that's going to be for little guys that want to come in, and they'll be able to eat dinner with their hopefully their favorite superheroes. So we're looking forward to a lot of fun programs during February vacation at the Civic Center. Pickleball continues to be very successful at the Civic Center. We have Tuesdays from 9:30 and Thursdays at 1 p.m. We get 15 to 20 people a day at that. It is very successful. It's very much up and coming. $2 for residents and $3 for non-residents. We have I always say this, but with the New Year's, we have a lot of fitness classes that are starting, Zumba, yoga, spin, cardio power, a wide variety of programming at the Civic for those looking to get in shape after the new year. We always say that the first one's free. If you want to come check it out, we're more than happy to show you the facility and try out any fitness classes. Two things that I do not have on my report, but I want to share is that we just wrapped up our spring-summer guide. We got it to the printer. It should be going to households, hopefully beginning of February. And then registration for all of our spring-summer programs, which is basically March to August, will be starting on February 13th. So we're very excited about that. We worked hard. We have a good variety of programming, and that includes our traditional play camp, junior play, senior play, and a lot of other fun programming as well. And one other thing that is not in our guide, or not in the report that I want to share, is that we still have spots open for our Foxwoods trip this Saturday. We're leaving from 2 o'clock from the Civic, so it should be a fun trip. I think we should be getting back around 11 or 12 at night. Should be a fun trip, so we're looking forward to that one as well. So we have a lot going on at the Civic that we're really excited about, and everything seems to be going pretty well.
Very good, Mr. Farley. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Mr. Farley?
No, sir.
Comments?
Thank you for
Sounds
everything.
great.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time.
Couple of things from me. I noticed, by the way, on incoming on revenues, we seem to be running a little bit ahead of last year, year to date.
That's correct. Yeah, Mr. Howard actually had a good point to kind of restructure a thing to show you where we're at from point A to point B. So we're very happy where we are. We'll continue to hopefully be ahead of where we were last year, and that'll always be our goal.
Okay. And you're including active memberships and drop-ins and so forth. Would you say overall that in terms of daily admission and program sign-ups that we are running ahead of last year or the year before?
Yeah, I think we're on par or a little bit ahead of last year. The early open from 6 to 5:30 actually made a huge difference for our fitness classes. We have probably like 7 to 10. We have 7 to 10 people there in the morning for all of our fitness classes, and we run fitness classes Monday through Friday in the morning. So that was a huge uptick. Kudos to those who get up into the Civic by 5:30.
If that's the way you want to put it.
So I think that really helped up our fitness class enrollment, and then we're still doing the evening stuff. Drop-in basketball for the high school, middle school kids in open it continues to see good drop-in numbers. So it's been a pretty successful year membership-wise as well.
Good.
So.
Mr. Howard.
Just one quickie. I just want to say thank you. Really, Travis, you and Katie are fantastic. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well said. Very good. Short and sweet. Thank you so
Short and
much.
sweet.
We appreciate it, Mr. Farley.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Travis.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
All right, Charles Donahue and Thomas Dunlay, you're welcome to come to the table here, gentlemen. And
Thank you very much for having us.
all right.
I always enjoy coming to your meetings. I just bring this along as a little memorabilia in our family. This is, my father was chairman of the Board of Selectmen on December 7th, 1941.
Wow.
Pearl Harbor was attacked. So
Very
he
nice.
went in, and the messenger paid tribute to him as he stepped down to go up to the South Pacific.
We want to get you on camera. I think this is toward me a little bit. There you go. There you go. Right there you go. Look at that.
He was in the Philippines when he was torpedoed the second time, and a young Marine was out there. When the ships got torpedoed, they wanted to spread fog, so the Japanese planes. So the young Marine was John Murphy of Westwood, of Norwood, whose brother was chief of police here for many years. So they had a reunion many years later, a Norwood guy out there trying to save the other Norwood guy. So it was a great story of their work.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anyway, this is something I just wanted to bring to your attention. It's for your interest. If you could do me pass these down. My wife and I grew up in Norwood, went to Norwood High, and we have donated to the Norwood Library 102 college courses. That the courses taught at Dartmouth and Brown, NYU. This is the list of the courses, and this is something the Western Media Center did, but Jack Tolman's about to do it for Norwood. Any of you on YouTube can go and look at a summary of these courses. 4 courses: an introduction to go to law school, an MBA, literature, science, art, music. So we're trying to get the word out to let Norwood people know about it. Middle school and high school kids, grandparents with their kids. So this is a wonderful opportunity. And there's 102 courses at the Norwood Library and the Westwood Library, so we can interchange them. Because of the Minute Library, we've got these people in Newton, Brookline trying to steal them from us, they can borrow them. But I really was, if I never knew this stuff in the 5th grade, a very different person. Thomas Dunley and I have known each
Let's
other
take a
for
seat
20
here.
years.
By all means, so the microphone's right there on the table.
Okay, fine. I've been commissioning Thomas to do paintings of Norwood. He's done a trilogy. Up here we have one that we donated about 10 years ago, which has become very popular. He did one of Norwood High before it was torn down, and the one we're presenting to you tonight is his most recent. I commissioned them, but he lets me make copies of them, and we sell them for a scholarship fund at Norwood High. So every year, my family gives a scholarship to a student who wants to become a teacher. My mother's a teacher. My father also is the chairman of the school committee in Norwood. So I want to thank Thomas very much for his generosity by letting me make copies, and a lot of people in Norwood enjoy them. 2 of these are at Dana-Farber. Through the Friends of St. Nick, we've sold them, and we also have donated them. So it makes a few people in there waiting for the good or bad news to enjoy the beautiful view of Norwood. But Thomas is internationally known artist. We're very lucky that he's in the area, and he's I'd just like to have him say a few words because he's doing something very interesting in Norwood. He studied for 7 years to become the painter he was. It wasn't art school. It's sitting there as an intern with an expert. That's the way Monet learned and all these French artists. And Thomas is setting up in Norwood an atelier. It's the same way Monet learned how to paint. And he can tell you a little bit about it, but it's now going to be available to people in this area who would like to learn how to be an artist that you don't learn in art school today. So Thomas, thank you for joining us.
First of all, I would just like to say what a pleasure it has been to work with Charlie over the years on these various projects. Norwood is a very blessed town to have him still so close by and yet so generous to the town. These projects have been wonderful to work with, and most of all, it's been fantastic to see the response of the people from Norwood and see the good that these pictures have been able to do with the funds that they've raised and the scholarship that he is able to give every year. But and to address the other note that Charlie was talking about, the school, I'm doing something very unusual that's not done today at all. I'm actually setting up a very small private school, and the French term, as Charlie said, is an atelier, and what that means is it's a system of training artists to become painters. It's a very highly specialized way of training, and it's not what one would expect in terms of art school. It's not something that is for someone who just wants a nice experience or to go out and draw on occasion. This school is being set up to really address the problems of art education that exist beyond secondary school. Now Norwood, like many towns, sends its most talented kids to art schools across the country, and when they attend these schools, they're discouraged from doing the thing that they have done since childhood, which is draw and paint naturalistically, and they're intimidated into, thinking that they have to do all this hooey stuff and modern stuff that doesn't necessarily appeal to people. So I've actually set up a program where I'm teaching people to draw the old-fashioned way, the way painting was taught 120 years ago and was abandoned 100 years ago. So I'm down at the Winsmith Mill. People can look me up in the phone book or, check in down there, to get my number, or, fairly well known around, so people can get in touch with me. But the real thing that I want to address is helping young people who want to be painters and want to do it the old-fashioned way and draw people and draw portraits and draw landscapes and not feel intimidated into, doing things that they're not necessarily driven to. So hopefully we can, report back to you in a while and, show that we've had some, progress and found that, next Rembrandt or Leonardo or Raphael, that's the intent here.
Or Thomas Dunley.
I'd be proud to be the teacher of the next great painter. That's my goal.
This is terrific, by the way. The two of them.
Oh, thank you.
It's almost like they were different
well,
angles.
It's funny. I've lived in Westwood for 40 years, just over the line. I wish I'd in some ways jumped, over here 30, 40 years ago. I feel like I'm, a Norwoodite. It's just a great town. I love it, love the people. Everybody's so supportive. It's really a pleasure to be involved in this project with Charlie.
Well, it's a great project and a great charity. We really
Oh,
appreciate
thank you.
it, sir. Questions, comments? Mr. Bishop?
Not so much a question, but a statement. I just want to thank you personally for your kindness to the town and your courtesies to the town.
Oh, I appreciate it.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it very much here in Norwood.
Oh,
So we have put you in high regard.
Oh, thank you.
Very much. Thank you for everything you've done for the town. Thank you,
Excellent.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Likewise, sir, I'd just like to say that your words are just words of encouragement to me to do my job. I really appreciate it, and it's people like yourself that make Norwood what it
Well,
is.
and this guy,
And this gentleman.
he's I've never seen anybody so generous behind the scenes and always trying to, address the really important issues, and that's education,
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing. We can help these kids when they're young.
Do you think that's sort of underestimated, the importance of art education in schools in the young grades?
Art education today is in a very tough situation. There's limited resources that can be given to it, and there's all sorts of forces that, your art teachers and, chairman of the art departments are up against. It's very difficult, to address the needs of the few that are really talented when you have to help so many. And it's an odd situation, but hopefully one thing I would like to do as a result of making this announcement today, we've already had a preliminary meeting with the director of the Westwood Art Department. I'd love to meet with the director of the Norwood Art Department and help discuss these issues. Expose Norwood to what I'm doing down here. Perhaps be of some aid to the instructors themselves, and what are the kinds of things that are, going to be very helpful for that talented student. I really would, love to develop a relationship with the school committee and the high school and the secondary schools too, because like so many things, Norwood's a great town for athletics. And one of the things that made it great all these years was the programs that were developed in the lower grades,
Yeah.
For identifying talented athletes and, running clinics and, exposing them to good coaching early. And what I intend to do as part of this is on Saturdays, for young, talented people who are interested in this sort of thing, make time available to introduce them to it.
Very
The
good.
first time I came home from college, I noticed all these kids walking around Norwood with briefcases. So I went home and I said, "What's going on?" He says, "Oh, it's this music teacher. He's got the kids in the third grade want to be the #1 violin player." The program in
Yeah.
Norwood is outstanding in the whole country. And so I'd advise any of you that have an interest to go up and see the program that Thomas has. He's a doctor who wished he'd gone to art school. He was down to train with Thomas in his spare time.
Up at Winsmith Mill, you mean?
Up to-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful just to
Yeah.
see it, the training, what you go through,
And
and
the gentleman Charlie's talking about, in 1974, he enrolled at BU to study painting, wanted to be a painter, traditional painter, not a modern painter, wanted to be a portrait painter, and he left after a semester. He decided he'd better able to support a family, becoming an oral surgeon. And about 2 months ago, we connected, and now he studies 2 days a week at my school, getting the training he had hoped to get at BU back in 1974. So, but just like Charlie said, the youth, if you can find that kid when he's 10, 12 years old, 15 years old, and get him excited about it, you never know, you might have the next Raphael.
Very good. Ms. Donahue and then Mr. Howard. Go ahead, Ms. Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, Mr. Donahue, having you here is an honor. I had the great honor of knowing your father my whole life. And when you mentioned him earlier, it was very heart-moving. And he was here 41 to 43, and a quick exit like that to go and defend the country. And he was a great teacher for all of us, as well as your mother. and practicing law with your brother Bobby. And but I knew about you. Somehow I learned about you in these courses that you've made available. Now, this is over a number of years, isn't it?
About 15 years, yeah.
15 years, and you've gone little by little by little, adding on each year, a number of courses each year, and making these available to the general public. That's quite a thing. And the way that, the first time I ever saw one of the cards that someone bought to help support your charitable efforts, I said, oh my goodness, look at this. And I actually framed it. It was one of your prints. And I actually framed it, you know. And then where did you get it? Oh, Norwood Cooperative Bank. You can buy them at the bank, you know. And it's just a wonderful way that you've helped us all out for your lifetime. And Mr. Donnelly, you're not just stepping up to the plate. You've been at the plate. And that was a new concept, you helping out with the guitars and music drives us. Yet, I got an email. They gave hundreds of instruments to kids.
They
Poor-
did. Amazing.
379 instruments to poor kids. Now, how good is that?
And just like I'm doing with the School of Painting, it's the music is the same thing. You have to reach the kids when they're young. So, you know, the whole idea of Ernie helping the schools is just tremendous.
But you helped him too. You did one of the guitars,
Yeah.
and yours was a huge auction item.
It's a seascape type of thing.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, the blues,
It was a Nantucket theme. Right.
And the other thing, one of the other artists was a student from Norwood High, wasn't he?
Right.
And what you're talking about,
Yeah.
identifying talent now, that student, and I told Ernie about that student.
Right.
She won a nationwide contest.
Yeah. Actually, she's she's going to study with me this summer. So it all goes around.
It does. It does. Well, thank you for everything.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue.
Thank you, Mrs. Donahue. Mr. Howard, do you have something else?
Yeah, just quickly. Twice a year, as you may know, at the Day House and at the Morse House, the high school arts department displays art that the students have put together. And I've been fortunate to go there for a few years. This stuff is very impressive from these young people. I mean, I think there's a lot of meat there, and you can put the potatoes with it.
Sure. Well, and that's what I hope to do is, that and the whole problem with art education today is that these kids, you know, in high school and secondary school, they're encouraged and, you know, good things happen. And then they go off to art school and, you know, that's a scary world. And, you know, the art schools aren't doing their job. And what I'd like to do is, you know, help identify that kid who may want to, you know, take it very seriously and you know, you know, it's like becoming a mason or, you know, a carpenter, you know, an architect or a doctor. You know, it's the same kind of training. You know, there are skills. It's a skill-based craft, and you know, if they get a good education on top of that, hopefully they can go on to express themselves and, you know, be considered an artist.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Plasko.
Thank you. I'd like to thank both of you. This is great for the community. It's a wonderful thing. Charlie, your dad used to be a customer at my dad's store, and then when I took it over, and when I first got involved in town, he was one of my closest advisors. I had a lot of fun conversations with him and gained a lot of experience talking with him. So your father and even your brother have been close to talking to over the years, and I know you've been probably one of Norwood's quietest and yet most effective philanthropists over the years, and particularly giving to education and arts and culture type of items, not Circle of Hope so much, but the Friends of St. Nick and so forth. You've really been such a strong supporter of, and this is a beautiful work. I've had several of Mr. Donnelly's works. I've either have in my own house or given as gifts, and I can't wait to add this to the collection. Thank you both for your work and what you're doing right now. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your work.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you. All right, let's see. Mr. Reese
Thank you, sir.
and
Thank you
Mr.
for everything.
Cooper, you're up next.
Thank you, sir.
I got a public hearing at 7:30. Would you rather wait till the public hearing is done? Well, come on up.
Great, thank you very much.
Sally, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Stephen, can we'll go ahead with these guys in the public hearing, like people late a little, or should
Thank you.
All right, would you want to wait, would you mind waiting through the public hearing then, is that advisable? Like 4 minutes?
What do you recommend? We wait?
Yes.
Yeah, the public hearing will be a few minutes.
I don't want to rush you.
No, that's fine.
All right, so the public hearing starts in about 4 minutes, so let's do some new business. Okay, good, all right, we'll do that.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, everybody, for your help. We'll go to new business now. Number one, DMO Norwood LLC, DBA Dan O'Brien, Kia Norwood, submitting application for Class 1 auto dealer license to operate DMO Norwood LLC, DBA Dan O'Brien, Kia of Norwood, 105 Boston Providence Turnpike, public hearing needed.
Motion to,
Good.
Second.
Motion to set the public hearing made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Number two, Massachusetts State Lottery Commission Charitable Gaming Division, submitting annual Beano report for St. Catherine of Siena Parish, 547 Washington Street.
Information to file, sir.
second.
Information made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Number three, revocation of licenses. The following licenses should be revoked for failure to renew. Common Victualler from the Lost Brook Golf Club, 750 University Avenue. Common Victualler, YKLU Food Incorporated, DBA Olivio's, 1210 Boston Providence Turnpike. And entertainment license, Percival Brewing Company LLC, 83 Morse Street.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 4, Segal Reese, Superintendent, Director of Board of Health, submitting request to insert the recycling newsletter into the Light Department bills for the months of April and August of 2019.
So
Motion to
moved.
approve.
Motion to approve made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Number 5, car washes. The Norwood High School Boys Lacrosse team requesting car wash on Saturday, May 18th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Norwood High School swim team requesting a car wash Saturday, August 24 from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the Norwood High School dive team requesting a car wash on Saturday, September 21 from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
So move.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. Number 6, Henry Sequeira, Animal Control Officer, submitting donation of $1,010 to the Betterment of Norwood Animal Shelter from Bay State Scrollas Woodworking Club, Walpole, Mass.
Move to accept the Chapter 4453A and to authorize the money to be expended under the direction of the general manager
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
for said purposes.
NL.
Anything, hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? That concludes new business, and then for memoranda, we have Selectmen's meetings for approval of the board meeting minutes from November 27, 2018, and December 4, 2018.
Motion approved as submitted.
Second on that.
Motion to approve as submitted, made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? All right, what's that? Right, okay. All right, very good. We are at 7:30. We'll get this public hearing underway here. All right. Would you take a seat right here at the table? Let the principal sit there. How are you this evening?
Very good, thank you.
All right, let's see. Now will we read a notice here, right, Christine? Very good. Okay, want to sit at the table? You're welcome to. You got a microphone there and everything. All right, this is a public hearing. Christina, would you read the notification?
Application for a common victualler's license and automatic amusement license. The Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. in the Harry B. Butters Chambers, Room 34, Norwood Town Hall, for a license to operate Arena NL, Inc., DBA Launch Trampoline Park, 570 Boston Providence Turnpike, Norwood, Mass. Board of Selectmen, Thomas F. Maloney, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Christina. All right. Would you please be kind enough to introduce yourselves for the record and then state your business?
My name is Mark Murphy. I am one of the owners of Arena NL Inc., DBA Launch Norwood. I'm also the owner of Launch Watertown. It's a franchise, so I'm already running an operation in Watertown.
Where in Watertown do you run it?
Do you, if you're familiar with the Waltham border where BJ's is,
Yeah.
I'm right next to that.
Very good.
We're right on the border.
Okay.
Been there 4 years.
Wait, is it Pleasant Street?
Actually, Pleasant Street, River Street, it's right on the tip, but yes.
All right. Thank you. Sir?
Hi, Neeraj Sapru. I live at 538 Opposite Street, which is adjoining the 570 Providence.
Very good.
So the fence is what separates that facility from my house.
Okay. All right, very good. All right. Tell us what you'd like to do.
Well, actually, we're purchasing the business, and all we're trying to do is keep it, the conditions as they are, until we get a chance to go in there and hopefully remodel the store. But
Okay.
all we're doing is, there is currently a license in place, and all we're doing, the license is not transferable, so we're just looking to get our own licenses once we close on the deal.
Very good. How long has the business been there, by the way?
The business opened in December 7th, 2013.
Okay, for 5 years.
I was there.
Okay, very good. Any questions?
So this, for the moment, is going to be the same layout for the common victor's license?
Exactly the same, exactly the same. The store's been open 5 years, it's getting a little worn down a little bit, so we'll be
Probably
coming
all that
back to the
jumping
town.
around, or the jumping around going on and stuff.
A lot of jumping around going on, but mostly we'll be upgrading the kitchen facilities and some of the attractions, but we'll have to wait till we actually get in there.
Okay, all right, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Donahue, any questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Howard?
No, with his experience, Mr. Chair, I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bishop?
No, I think it's very simple. Somebody stepping out, stepping in, everything basically stays. not
It's a
basically,
franchise,
does
it's
stay.
exactly the same,
Exactly
nothing
the same.
changes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question? Can
Uh,
I ask?
I'm sorry, are you one of the
From the
owners?
bu- no,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
He's in a butter, I believe.
In a butter, okay, no, that's coming. Give me 1 second, we'll get to that in just a second. If there's nothing further from the board, then we open it up to the public, is that correct? Okay, so now this is a public hearing, so questions, comments, or concerns from the public are allowed. So sir, you go first.
So is it going to be still that indoor facility? Nothing is changing in terms of,
It stays exactly the same.
is it still going to be launch or something else?
It's still gonna be launch.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
okay,
As I say, I'm a franchisee, we're just taking this one over.
okay. I thought it was you're removing this and putting something else.
No, no, it'll be the same. It'll be updated eventually,
Okay.
but it'll be exactly the same.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Shall we close the hearing?
Motion to close the
Second.
hearing made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve, sir?
Motion to approve made and seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck in your business, sir. Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, Mr. Easy and Mr. Cooper, we appreciate your patience. Thank you very much.
Don't give that picture to us.
All right, you are here to discuss the winter concert series at Norwood High School.
Yes, thank you very much for having us. With me is the Assistant Town Manager, Bernie Cooper. Thank you for this appointment. As most of you know, the winter concert is like a part of the summer concert program. It's the same committee. We're under the umbrella of the town of Norwood, but we're all, it's a private group of citizens that, put together this program. So, starting this Sunday, January 27th, will be the first winter concert at the Norwood High School. Now, if you look at this flyer, I don't know if that can pick that up, but if you pick up the Norwood Record this week, this flyer will be inserted in the Norwood Record. This will give the schedule. It's the 27th through the 17th. It's at 2 o'clock, and it's right at the Norwood High School, and admission is free. Now, most of you know, my policy is to thank the committee members and all the sponsors. So I have to take a minute. I know I've gone through the list many times, but I feel like that if they put the hard work in, they need to be acknowledged. So let me thank the committee. Olga Abdella, Beverly Armour, our former town manager, John Carroll, Assistant Town Manager, Bernie Cooper, Nanette Cummings, Barbara Holman, Barbara Kinta, Tony Mizuko, our new town manager, Dorothy Pravois, Pat Schick, Harry Spence, Margie Spence, Linda Thomas, Lovey Thomas, and David Tuttle. And I also want to just mention that we did lose a beautiful woman who passed away recently, and the late Dolores Elias. She was a very active founding member of this committee, and I just want to tell you that this whole winter series will be to her dedication. I mean, she worked tirelessly right up till a week or so ago, organizing the first winter concert, so we'll miss her tremendously. Now, you have the committee members, but you also have the businesses and organizations and individuals in this community that give and write a check every single year. And I want to take a minute and just thank them. First, we'll start with the Friends category. Thank you to the Cafe Fresh Bagel, Marion Bach, John and Penny Carroll, Democratic Town Committee, Attorney David Hearn, Honeydew Donuts, Alan and Renee Howard, Jack Perry, Joe and Joni Jacobs at Jacobs Plumbing, Richard and Barbara Kinta, Norwood Lions Club, Mina's Cafe, Republican Town Committee, Village Green Nurseries. The next category is the Bronze Batons, Bay State Federal Charitable Foundation, Paul and Kathleen Bishop, C&E Auto Body, Central Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Buick, GMC, Kia, and Fiat, Central Dental Associates, Dempsey Insurance, Flower Power, Jack Madden Ford, Tom and Catherine Maloney, Maya Dana and Sons, Norwood Fire Department, Local 1631, Norwood Police Association, Norwood Rotary Club, Poria Sales and Service, the Regal Press, Rockland Trust. Our next category are the Silver Batons, Analog Devices, Cadillac of Norwood, 4 Points by Sheridan, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare Foundation, Horizon House Publications, Deborah Liu, John Marini, Norwood Engineering, Norwood Women's Community Committee, Roach Brothers Supermarkets, and our highest sponsors, our Gold Batons, Ernie Bach Jr., David Spiegel, Richard and Beverly Armour, Bank of Canton, Herb Chambers, Norwood Bank, the Norwood Record, Norwood Women's Club Moral Fund, Rojo Dean Street Car Wash by Diane Shelby and family, and in memory of Delight and Ed Sweeting. So I know it's a long list, but you know, honestly, to have that many sponsors for one program is just, to me, amazing. And I have to acknowledge Barbara Kinta because she's our fundraising chair, and Barbara goes out every single year and she'll raise up to $20,000. And that money comes right to the town manager's office and goes right into the kitty so that we're able to give you this program. I just also want to say that although I'm the chairman, this program really would not be here without Bernie, Cooper, and David Tuttle. I cannot be at every concert, and Bernie is like the left person, and David Tuttle's the right person. There's really three chairs in this committee. Even though they name me the chairman, it's really the three of us that have really pulled this thing together. So I want to thank David and Bernie. So this Sunday, again, if you pick up the Norwood Record, which I hope you'll do, you'll see the insert. And we probably should just say thank you to Paul Riccardi, because the superintendent of building and grounds for the schools, he makes sure that the snow and ice is clear for everybody. The superintendent, the school committee, thank the custodians, the sound crew. We got to remember Honeydew Donuts, the Bartukas, Delia, the kids, and especially Roach Brothers for giving us all the pastries. And again, we're going to have some great raffles. And
Could you mention the restaurants that donate the prizes?
yeah, and we also have people love it. You come into the high school, or whether you walk into the Norwood Common on a summer night, you don't have to pay to get in. You don't have to buy a raffle ticket, and you're in the running for a raffle. So, you know, let me just say that Linda Thomas, who's the chair of the raffle committee, wonderful person. She goes out every single year and brings, you know, we raffle a couple at every concert. So let me thank the Buoncaldo Restaurant, Brookside Cafe in South Norwood, Bibelo's Restaurant, the Colonial House Restaurant on Savin Ave, Conrad's, the Feisty Greek, Lewis's Bar and Grill, the OCC on Manhattan Street, Olivati's, Sky Restaurant, the Venice Cafe in South Norwood, and Vico Ristorante Italiano. So they were all, you know, they're all a part of it. And that's what makes this program successful. And as long as, in my opinion, as long as these sponsors keep writing the checks to the town of Norwood to support this program, and as long as our committee works as hard as they do, I'll always, you know, hopefully stay here at the helm. But it really is not me. It's really the rest of the whole group that makes this program possible.
Just quickly, the first concert this coming Sunday is the Randolph Community Band. They were supposed to have played this past summer, but that was our one rainout. So this is going to be their first appearance in Norwood, and we want to thank Mr. Mizuko for calling them to our attention, because we were not familiar with them at all. And I think this is one of the very few concerts they are playing outside of the community of Randolph itself. February 3rd, which is an important date for some of us, Super Bowl Sunday. Dan Gable and the Abletones, we will be out of there by 4 o'clock. The game is
6:30.
6:30 at night, so plenty of time to make the big game. February 10th is the Roy Scott Big Band, again a very popular group. And on February 17th, the Tom Newtley Big Band. They're all very professional groups. We hope to see people there. And we've only canceled, actually, I'm not sure we've actually had a winter cancellation yet. We may have had one in the last 3 years, but we've had some close calls, but we've been able pretty much to plow ahead, if you'll pardon the pun. If we have to postpone a concert, we'll try to get the word out on our website and ask the police and so forth to put it out on their Twitter and Facebook accounts. So we hope to see people there starting this Sunday.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, fellas. Thank you for all you do for this, really. There aren't too many that I miss, so I see the fine work that you guys do, and for a person that likes big band music, I mean, it's just wonderful. But the big question is, as you kind of alluded to, Paul, we're gonna have the hot chocolate and the pastries,
And the
as we did other
hot
years.
chocolate and coffee is all donated
Yeah.
by the Bartuka family, right on Honeydew Donuts in the ward.
Nice.
And every year, and I usually start my day off going to church, pick up the coffee and the hot chocolate, head up to the high school. Roach Brothers does the delivery, and all of you guys, town manager, you've always helped us serve. So we ask you, invite you again, if you could
Delighted.
give us a hand and move this thing along, it'll be another successful program.
Well, I'm sure the people are looking forward to it. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Anybody else? Questions?
Well, I think we all know it's a wonderful thing, and you guys keep doing it, so thank you.
Amen to that. Thank you very much. We appreciate all the effort. Thank you for your patience tonight.
Thank you, Paul.
We'll see you on
Thank you,
Sunday.
Excellent.
At
Thank
2
you.
o'clock.
If you're looking for me, I'll be pouring hot chocolate.
All right, very good. Well, we got through everything here on the agenda, up to Selectmen's addenda. So, well, actually, first, why don't we start with you, Mr. Mizuko? Is there anything you would like to update us on?
Yes, a couple announcements to the board. First one is a sad one. As the board's aware and the public may know, Michelle Peasy, our HR director, will be leaving the town. She's accepted a phenomenal position with the city of Newton, so we are very sad to see her go. She's served the town very well for many years. She's done a lot of great things for Norwood, so we're sad to see her go, but she's moving on in her career, and she's actually taking one of the top HR director positions in the state, so we can at least take comfort knowing that even though we're losing her, Norwood is producing some of the best talent in the state. So we'll be working through that transition over the next few weeks, and we'll be certainly sad to see Michelle go. There's still some ice on the roads from this past weekend's storm. I know that's sort of a big transition from we're losing Michelle to talking about ice in the storms, but one of the things I want to make sure I think the board's aware of, so that the public knows, is that the road salt that we use, that any community uses, really isn't effective below 20 degrees. So one of the reasons we still had ice throughout the course of the weekend on a lot of roads and a lot of the sidewalks is that you simply can't use the salt simply isn't effective below a certain temperature. You need compaction too for the road salt to be able to actually work and to get the ice off the roads, but when you have a freeze like this, it may not have seemed like a difficult storm, but this was a more challenging and costly storm for the DPW than most, just because of the nature of the ice. But at the end of the day, when the temperature dips below 20 degrees, and really when it gets below the double digits, the road salt just isn't very effective. So between the warmer weather today and some rain later in the week and the temperatures warming up tomorrow and Thursday, we're hopeful that we'll be ice-free within a couple of days. The board may be aware we've reached out to any families in town impacted by the federal government shutdown. We've had quite a few families contact us. We're taking their information. Some have needed some immediate assistance that we've been able to provide. Some are in a better position and they're just sort of keeping us in the loop, but they're concerned, of course, as the shutdown continues, what's going to happen to them. So if anyone is a federal employee that lives in Norwood impacted by the shutdown, feel free to contact the town manager's office. We have some limited means available of aid that we're trying to just help people and get information together to see where we can help folks when we can. Light Department construction project continues to move along. We'll have Jimmy with a little bit more of a formal update at his next appearance before the board with some photos, but weekly construction meetings and weekly progress continue to go forward well. Norwood Crossing, the condos here, we did have an evacuation today for about 12 hours. It was about 10 hours folks were outside of their homes. A CO2 detector was going off in the building for the building's main system. The fire department traced it to likely a problem with the HVAC system. There were no injuries reported. Fire department and police and public works, everyone that assisted did very well. Early in the morning, we were able to make sure that the Civic was already open, but we prepped it as a warming shelter for anyone who needed to go there. We did have a few folks who spent the better part of the day there. Some of them actually decided to take a couple classes while they were there, which we were happy to have.
Made our money back.
We were able to provide them some breakfast and lunch. We did have about 8 or 10 people who worked, who did go to the senior center and spent part of the day there. So they were able to stay warm. We were able to provide them lunch. And we brought the last group of folks back into the building probably around 4:30 today. They were able to get back in. So all appears to be going well. I know there's still some mechanical issues they're working on, but the heat's on in all of the units and people are back in there. We tested the CO levels. The fire department did an exceptional job, as did police and public works who were called to help out, and our own town team here for coordinating some immediate shelter response.
So was it a CO leakage or equipment malfunction?
Well, it was both. It was the equipment malfunctioning causing the CO2 detector to go off. It was one of the rooftop units. So hopefully that's been resolved. At least it's the levels are down where they can go back into the building. So the fire chief's going to continue to work with them. So kudos to the staff for handling a difficult situation early in the morning, and especially on a cold morning. I mean, these are difficult situations to deal with any time of the year, but when the morning starts off, it's 5:30 and you have to evacuate 50 apartments and it's less than 10 degrees out. It certainly adds a level of challenge.
Yeah.
Mr.
Howard,
Chair, sorry to interrupt, but a point has to be made. CO detectors, right here, so important, so important.
Absolutely.
People could literally die in their beds, I mean, because of a relatively minor equipment function that thank God I have them in my house. So it was talk, I happened to bump into the fire chief this morning at the Civic, and we were discussing it, and people need to have these detectors in their homes, particularly with severe weather, that our heating equipment is working probably at its maximum when it's so cold outside, and you have to have these detectors there to find that stuff. So important for their health.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, Mr. Manager.
No, point well taken. It's absolutely critical. It's they're a relatively cost-effective, life-saving device, and that's what they do. They save lives.
$30 or so in round numbers, you
Yep.
know, I mean, each, I mean, thank you.
That is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, very good, Mr. Mizuko, thank you. We'll move on to Selectmen's addenda, and I think we owe Mr. Plasko something here because last week, in my nervousness, I inadvertently neglected to call upon him. So, Mr. Plasko, we can call on you twice if you wish, and you can have twice as much time, whichever you prefer.
I think once will be fine, Mr. Chairman, thank
Okay.
you. I'd just like to add my words of thanks to Michelle Peasy for the job she's done here in Norwood. And also, you know, wish her the best going on to Newton. I know it's a tremendous professional opportunity for her, and as I say, just simply thank you and best of luck in all your future endeavors over there in Newton. And I know she, at the moment at least, plans to stay in Norwood as a resident, so we'll keep her involved in as many activities as possible here at home as well. Mr. Chairman, I know that you and Mr. Bishop are moving along very expeditiously with Christina Motherhill to find a replacement for herself in her new position. But I was a little concerned about the funding. I know we have a small budget, and we have an effect of one employee leaving with a buyout and one employee getting a promotion, new one coming in. Have we done an analysis of, are we going to need any additional funds? Are we going to be able to start the new employee immediately?
I'm glad to bring that up. We have to finish we have to do a little bit more calculation, but the first thing I need, Ms. Peasy is working on the final buyout number, which I should have this week. And then we'll take a look at how much we might be able to save or have saved either through hire downs or through temporary vacancy. And then the plan might be to either approach the Finance Commission for the delta or bring it to town meeting. Ms. Mizuko.
I know we all use the term buyout. To be clear, it's
Yeah.
just for vacation time and sick time that
Yes,
is paid out
yes.
upon somebody's separation. So
Thank-
it's not a
Thank
buyout. It's just there's somebody accumulates vacation time by
Thank
law.
you.
We are required to pay that out. And sick time, depending on the policy, they do get a certain payout for accumulated sick days not used.
Payout.
So.
Payout's a better word, right?
Yes.
Payouts.
Thank you for the clarification, that's correct.
So we do have a little bit more of arithmetic to do.
Okay.
So the process might take a little bit longer, but I did talk to Mr. Slater about getting on the agenda for the Finance Commission sometime soon, and he said same thing. He said, let's get the numbers nailed down as best you can.
Great, thank you, that's all.
All right, very good. Mrs. Donahue?
Mr. Chair, in that regard, I think that we should try and fill the vacancy as soon as we can, because we had two people doing two jobs very well, and that's hard for one person to have to do two jobs. And the next question is, I know that you're going through the selection process about the candidates. Does that include the finalists coming back here for us to vote on them, or does the subcommittee make the choice, or how does that work?
The plan is for the subcommittee to make the choice, but I'll give you, we had about 34 resumes in response to the posting. We did 11 initial interviews, and we have selected 3 of those 11 to interview more comprehensively, and that'll be done on Friday. And then from there, we'll choose one of the 3 and bring that person forward. That's the plan, anyway.
Mr. Chair, can I just follow up on that briefly
Bishop,
for
yeah.
my colleague, Mrs. Donahue? Some of these people have not notified their employer that they're seeking other employment. So I really don't want to see 3 individuals up here, 1 or 2 of which may not have told their employees and have that information get back and put their own job in jeopardy. So that's one of the reasons I don't want to see 3 up here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. We are really excited about the 3, by the way.
Excellent, excellent. So in regard to Mrs. Peasy, best of luck. And the interesting, wonderful thing is that she has ties to Newton as well as the new job there. So she said that her family settled there in 1960. So this should be somewhat of a homecoming for her, which is a good thing, but we will miss her wonderful help over the years. I'd like to also bring up the question, Mr. Manager, at some point, the traffic light on Manhattan Street and Lenox Street was discussed about the timing on the traffic light, and talking to people who lived in that area, it's still a big question for them about improving. If you're leaving on Lenox Street to cross over, the timing is bothering people there. So if you look into that.
Yeah, if you remember, we had this had come up. We're waiting for the Avalon Bay project to complete because there are going to be some roadway improvements there that should impact and have the same result at the time. And we can't really adjust the timing until we know the difference in the traffic flow coming out of the Avalon Bay project, because whatever adjustment we make may need to be unmade. So when that project's complete later this spring, our road work improvements will complete, and some of those road work improvements should alleviate that concern.
So
I was just going to add that road work money, they were waiting for it too. And Avalon Bay actually donated, I think it was $59,000 for that purpose.
So I'll ask you to talk to the people in general.
Yep, I actually spoke with one of them just last week. But we did let them know even last year that we had to wait for that road work to complete, and that should alleviate the concern.
Okay, thank you. And so the last thing I'd like to mention, that problem that we had today at Norwood Crossings, all the years that we've been preparing for something that came up. I think of Mr. McAuliffe, Smokey Joe McAuliffe, and he had all these wonderful preparations, and so we have maintained the preparations, and it was nice to talk to people who knew about it and were involved in it, and the service that the town provided, the comfort, a choice of place to go, a warm place on a cold day, and coffee, donuts, and I'm very proud that we're able to help out like that. I think that's a large part of the reason why we're here. And thank you for getting that done so beautifully.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Donahue. Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that I've had quite a bit of interaction with Ms. Peasy over the years, be it on search committees or board issues when I was chair a bit back. But I as well will miss her here and wish her the best in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Bishop?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also echo those sentiments. Michelle Peasy going to Newton is like somebody stepping into the White House in this area. It's a very prestigious human resource job in this area. So they're going to be lucky to have her, and I am personally sad to lose her. I would have tried anything to try to keep her, but she's going on to much bigger and better things. So I wish her all the best and her family. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Just for me, to round it out, Ms. Peasy is a consummate professional, an HR professional of the highest order. I am sorry to see her leave as well. I had the pleasure of working with her on several job searches in this town. I always found her to be extremely well prepared. Her guidance and advice was always superb and right on point. And I think her experience and her knowledge of the town, of the town's government, will be missed. But Norwood's loss is Newton's gain, that's for certain. So we do wish her well. It's a good move for her. Congratulations for winning that job. Just one or two things here before we go to executive session. Next week, you'll see this on the agenda, but we do intend to have a joint we do intend to have the Budget Balancing Committee come in next week to talk about their recommendations for potential operational override. Mr. Slater, I know, will be here. I believe Dr. Thompson said he will be here as well. Of course, Mr. Plasko and I are on the committee. We'll be here. But the entire Budget Balancing Committee is being invited. Mr. Mizuko's on it too. And we'll talk about what the Budget Balancing Committee did in late December. And let's see, what else? A little later on, I know I had a conversation briefly with Representative John Rogers a few days ago, and he has agreed, and he will convince Senator Mike Rush, and he said it won't be difficult to come on in probably sometime in February. Might have to wait till March for a legislative update from our state delegation, and we look forward to that. And then finally, we do want to have a meeting with the Planning Board and the ZBA to discuss potential zoning initiatives that we'll present at town meeting. That was going to be in late January, probably pushed it to late February, I think. But that will happen well in time for town meeting, so people will have an idea of what we're discussing in terms of zoning changes here in the town and the central business district. So let's see. That's it from here. Is there anything else? Mr. Plasko, it's your second chance now. I think you're all set.
Motion to move an executive session for the purposes indicated earlier.
Second, sir.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Plasko?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes, sir.
And the chairman votes aye, so we will go into executive session now. We will reconvene only for the purpose of adjournment. Thank you very much.